Today we're going to be doing a comparison that honestly should not exist.
Between this Chevrolet Corvette and this Maserati.
On one side, the Chevrolet Corvette C6, America's fiberglass missile, base model, LS2, loud, simple, and built to go fast for cheap. On the other side, the Maserati GranTurismo, Italian luxury, hand-stitched leather, a Ferrari-derived V8, and when it was new, it cost about $90,000 more than that Corvette. Yes, seriously. Fast forward to today, and on the used car market, these two cars are sitting in the exact same price bracket, around $25,000. Both make around 400 horsepower, both do 0 to 60 in roughly 5 seconds, and both promise a completely different driving experience. So the question is, do you go with American muscle and raw performance, or Italian style and grand touring drama? Let's find out.
Hello everyone and welcome to Performance on Wheels. My name is Todd, my son Austin and I, we make all sorts of videos on all sorts of different cars. We make videos on some of the most amazing off-road rigs that you can buy on the market today, and even some affordable sedans. Today we check out some awesome vehicles that you can have for under $30,000. You guys have really been enjoying these videos. You have been liking them and commenting on them, but there's still 95% of you that are not hitting the subscribe button. So as we fire up these roaring V8s and get after it, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching this video, let's face it, we've all been there. We set our price, we set our budget, and to the marketplace we go. 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, whatever your budget is, you start unpacking every sports car, every dream car, every toy that you can find within that price point. So I would be completely lying to you guys if I didn't tell you that at some point I did look at a Maserati GranTurismo, and I can't tell you how many times I've looked at a Corvette on the marketplace.
But for some reason on the used market, so many more people go straight for the Corvette rather than checking out the Maserati GranTurismo. So today we're going to compare these two cars side by side. We're going to sit in them, check out the interior, walk around the outside. We're going to talk about the issues with both of these cars, and this is the real reason nobody pursues these on the used market. And then we're going to get behind the wheel and drive them to see which one truly gives the best driving experience for $25,000.
There's a lot of really good things about both of these cars. The Maserati that we're standing next to now notably has one of the best sounding V8s to ever be produced, even to current day standards. This is an amazing sounding car, and we'll get more into that as we take this for a drive. That engine is a 4.7 liter V8. It's the F136, if my memory is correct, which is the engine code that essentially has the same architecture from a Ferrari F430 as well as the Ferrari 458.
We got a couple other crazy facts to share with you about the GranTurismo before we dive into that engine and interior. One of them is that this car has those crazy roll bars that are built in to the back of the headrest. They shoot up if it detects a rollover crash, and I just think those are some of the most unique things that are on any vehicle. They're pretty common on German cars. Another thing is that even though this car is not that old in the sense where it ended in what, 2014, somewhere around there, it had a MSRP of around $140,000 and still did not come with a backup camera. And then we got to talk about the C6 Corvette. I am so familiar with this platform, being as that I have a C5 that pretty much built from the ground up at this point, and the C6 sits on the exact same architecture that that C5 was built on. So it's a very similar car. We popped the hood and I can't even tell the difference except for the fact that this one has a 6 liter instead of a 5.7. But this car is the definition of American reliability, robustness, and just pure power in a super lightweight body.
Yeah, we're really talking about a raw sports car and a Grand Tour, so there's some dramatic differences in that. A few fun things to note on the Corvette C6 that we're showing you in today's video is the fact that this car is around 1,000 pounds lighter. The C6 is also the first time that there was exposed headlights since 1962. Every other Corvette has had pop-up headlights. Another fun note about the C6 is just no, it's not a convertible like the Maserati in today's video, but it does have the target top. So you can have that open air experience very similar to what the Italian convertible offers.
But let's talk about the real reason that the majority of people cross-shop these two cars, and that is performance numbers and sound, of course. Now, these two cars are extremely similar when it comes to performance numbers. We're talking about a 400 horsepower 6-liter LS2 that's under the hood of the C6 Corvette base. Now, in 2008, you could up that to the 6.2-liter LS3, which got 415 horsepower. Or over here on the Maserati, we have a Ferrari-derived 4.7-liter V8. Now, if you got the convertible or the performance, it bumped up that power all the way to 454, giving it 54 additional horse over the Corvette. However, that torque number is significantly lower, with around 375 pound-feet of torque in the Maserati and still boasting 400 over there in the Corvette.
What does that mean to a driving experience? Well, over here on the Maserati, your 0 to 60 time is going to be right around 5 seconds. You might be able to shave a few tenths off there. We're over on the Corvette, right around a 4.5 second 0 to 60 time. You take it all the way down the strip to the quarter mile, and you're going to see anywhere from around a 14.5 second quarter mile time to around a second less, 13.5, 13.7 in the Corvette. You talk about braking, this is very interesting in my opinion. Around 115 feet from the 70 to 0. Now, both cars can perform around 115 feet. The Corvette's maybe a few feet better, but here's the real difference. Remember, this is 1,000 pounds heavier. The brake rotors are over an inch bigger on the Maserati. In addition to that, the front pistons are 6-piston and 4-piston rear, where over on the C6, it's just a 2-piston front and a 1-piston rear.
Now let's talk transmissions. If you're getting a C6 and you want to go the automatic route, you gotta go after 2005, because the automatic in 2005, the only transmission available was the 4L65E, which is just a 4-speed automatic transmission, which greatly limits the performance. However, in years 2006 through 2013, you could get the 6L80, adding an additional 2 gears, which greatly improved the performance of the car. However, if you're going with the Corvette, I truly don't think either one of these transmissions is all that enjoyable to engage with. It's just lacking that feeling. Even the paddle shifters in this car, they're just so unbelievably delayed. So I highly recommend going with the other transmission option that is available, which is the T56 6-speed manual. It truly changes the entire driving feel of this car, and you have to go with it if you're getting the Corvette.
On the Maserati has a very familiar name when it comes to a transmission standpoint. That is from our friends over at ZF, and this was prior to the introduction of the 8-speed. This is when the 6-speed was still around. So it has a ZF 6-speed transmission, which is known to be a very reliable transmission.
Now, Maserati and reliability are typically not two words that go hand in hand. However, this 4.7-liter V8 actually kind of does go hand in hand with reliability. It's pretty rock solid, believe it or not. They're not really known for many issues whatsoever, just some leaks here and there. They're known for some valve cover leaks, they're known for some potential water pump leaks, and just basic maintenance really, keeping up to date with it, changing oil frequently, and they are pretty rock solid. The issue is when something does break, is how much money it costs, because you don't just run to your Maserati dealership and grab these parts. You actually run to your Ferrari dealership and grab these parts. They are all Ferrari name-plated parts for this engine, and they are just unbelievably taxed for that reason. And I personally have actually done valve cover gaskets on this engine in this car.
How much fun was that?
They're a huge pain in the butt. I mean, just accessing it is majorly painful. Getting to the back of the motor with it sitting behind that front axle is quite the challenge. It really is stuffed inside of there. There is issues with the GranTurismo. Even though the engine's solid and the transmission's solid, there's still a lot of issues. We're going to talk about things like sensors. We're going to talk about things like electrical, the navigation system on the interior, proximity sensors on the exterior of the car, suspension issues, running through brakes really quick, running through tires really quick. The maintenance cost of this car is, quite frankly, astronomical if you want to drive it. It's really expensive to drive on a day-to-day basis. But for a weekend car, I really do think this thing's pretty rock solid. Now, my dad had to question if we even needed to make a clip on talking about the Corvette's reliability. Now, since I am so familiar with the platform, there's a couple of things I wanted to touch on. One of which being, I am confident taking every single bolt on this car out of it and putting it back in. It's that easy to work on. You can do it in your garage. You can take it on a weekend. You can figure it out. There's so many videos and forums out there that you can figure anything on this car out versus having to go to a dealership to deal with electrical problems on that car. Diagnosing electrical problems and replacing a water pump or rebuilding a torque tube are two totally separate things in my book. I am so much more confident dropping the whole rear subframe and torque tube out of this car and rebuilding it than I am dealing with some screen or some button or some light error that is just nonstop being an issue on that car. So for that reason, the Corvette wins all day in reliability, and you can get almost any part at your local O'Reilly's for this car.
We have to touch on the interior of both the Maserati and the Corvette because there is some dramatic differences here. The Maserati is truly a great place to be. It feels elegant in here, as it should, knowing that we are in that anywhere from $120,000 to $140,000 original MSRP price back in 2013. The steering wheel feels and looks good. The blue gauges are super fun to look at. And then all of your touch points are just fine materials. Now that is with the exception of a lot of the buttons that are rubber or plastic. They have turned into some sort of gooey, slimy mess, which is a quite common issue with older vehicles, my F-Type being one of those vehicles that has that issue. There are some solves and cleaning solvents that can take care of that or at least make it better, but boy does it feel gross as I'm touching these different buttons in today's video. These seats are fantastic, the touch points are fantastic, it feels special. Now that we're in the convertible and we can hear the roar of that V8 out back, this is truly an amazing experience. I will highlight and comment on the passenger seat, which is a fantastic place to be in the Maserati compared to the Corvette. Very comfortable, has all the amenities you'd want. One thing that obviously completely stands the Maserati apart, which may be a huge selling point for the missus, is the fact that there is a back seat. Now at 6 feet tall, I don't know that I'd spend a ton of time back there, but I do know that my kids could be back there and I could get across town quite comfortably. Where in a Corvette, that's not an option at all. We do have to touch on the trunks because in the Maserati, although we have a back seat, there's not even room for a grocery bag essentially. In the Corvette, we can fit multiple pairs of golf clubs back there. Again, there's just no passengers besides your passenger. The Corvette is the raw sports car. You can really feel it in those hips as you sink down and gravity takes you into the seat. So it is a lot lower to the ground and you feel it. You feel a lot more cramped in this car. It is a smaller cabin space. However, this is the sports car, so it feels more engaging versus more comfortable. It's still a great place to be. One of the biggest complaints on the Corvette is all the cheap touch points. Everything is plastic compared to wrapped in leather. The passenger seat, in my opinion, is horribly uncomfortable for someone that is 6 feet tall, and that's because I cannot extend my legs. My knees are always crooked and there's no way to like fully stretch them out over there in the passenger seat. A lot of Corvettes do have a heads-up display, including the one in today's video, and that's just always fun. It brings a different element to your driving experience. Really makes you feel like you're in a race car.
Just driving around the Maserati GranTurismo as a standard driver, a daily driver per se, this car drives beautifully. It rides so nice. With the top down, it's so easy to talk to your passengers. There's never much wind noise that comes onto the interior, and every part about it feels so high-end and luxurious. It feels like a high-end Grand Touring car. The issue with the GranTurismo is most definitely not the sound. Not one bit. That is a phenomenal sounding V8. But it's kind of slow, to be honest with you. It's just not all that fast. But doesn't matter, because that sound is just so good. The ZF 6-speed transmission it's hooked up to is quite engaging. And the steering feel. Listen to that thing scream. 7,500 RPMs. Wow, that is a good sounding V8. And like I said, even at higher speeds, no wind noise is coming out of the interior. So easy to talk to you guys right now. They really did a good job engineering this car. The steering feel, the brake feel, the driver engagement, it's all exactly what you could possibly want out of a Grand Tourer. It's just above 4,000 RPM that this thing just sounds heavenly. It has such a good tone to it. It sounds so unbelievably good. I love the sound that the GranTurismo produces. I could drive this thing all day. What a fantastic road trip car. But as you can see, at no point during this drive did I feel scared. Did I feel like I wanted to let my hair on fire, because it just lacks that insanity feel that you kind of want from sports cars sometimes, which this just doesn't have that sports car feel to it. It's just strictly a grand touring car, which I think the Corvette might have a little bit of both. Let's get in it and find out. Hopping straight from the Maserati GranTurismo into the C6 base Corvette, and right off the bat, I can immediately tell that this isn't as enjoyable as a spot to be. Now the C6 with its adaptive Magnaride suspension does still go over bumps quite well, but you can just feel that it's not as comfortable. You can feel it in the body. You can feel it in just the cruising and the responsiveness. The car is not as enjoyable to drive as the GranTurismo. I would much rather take that car on a road trip, but that's not dismissing the fact that it's not enjoyable to drive. It's still very comfortable. It's a nice spot to be, but everything that I'm interacting with, engaging with, is a cheaper material, and it does not feel nearly as nice. Now, one thing that I also very much so prefer in the Maserati is that ZF transmission over the automatic that is used in the C6. Now, of course, the C6 was also available with that T56 6-speed manual, which is highly the one that I recommend getting. But if we're talking about a grand touring car and cars for our wives and stuff like that, not everybody wants an automatic. So let's see how this one performs. Holy cow! Night and day difference between this and that GranTurismo. This car feels like it completely wakes up, and we're also about 1,000 pounds lighter. So it feels much more nimble. It feels so much lighter on its toes, and it feels like it's ready to get after it. And with an almost 1 full second faster quarter mile, everything about the driving experience of the Corvette is better to me. Its acceleration is better. I think its steering feels better just with how much lighter the car is. It feels so much more direct, even though that Maserati steering was quite good. And it feels very good. It has fantastic feedback. The Corvette just feels so much more nimble with how light the car is. It just goes right where you point it right away. And I just think it's a more fun car to drive. It has that sports car aspect, but it lacks all of the grand touring aspect that GranTurismo has. I have to comment on it as well. Stock versus stock, I mean, the Maserati GranTurismo absolutely blows the C6's exhaust out of the park. That car sounds unbelievable, heavenly. It is beautiful. The C6 just sounds like a Silverado, quite frankly. It does not sound special at all, being stock versus stock. Now, of course, this car has a lot of potential and capability in the aftermarket department, a lot more than the Maserati, but like I said, stock versus stock, this car sounds terrible.
This was one of the first nice days we had coming out of winter, and it was amazing to hear these V8s come to life. What I will say is the 400 horsepower in the Corvette felt absolutely mind-blowing, and that's because we haven't experienced a 400 horsepower car now for 4, 5, 6 months.
Yeah.
Knowing, just being in a lot of cars, driving a lot of cars, I do know that 400 horsepower will become tame with time. Just a few weeks of driving it, and what felt so exhilarating will become a lot more manageable and lose a lot of its luster. Not dismissing the fact that the Corvette's not fast or fun. My whole point here is that all the additional amenities and luxury items of the Maserati will stick with you from day to day, and you'll still have essentially the same performance as that Corvette.
I went into this video with a negative mindset around the Maserati, and I'm coming out of it with a completely different perspective. I look at the Maserati as a car that you can get in and enjoy on a weekend and feel like you don't have to change anything to drive. Where, just like you said, driving that Corvette, it gets old quickly. You enjoy it, it's fast, it's a ton of fun, but you feel like you need to change it or modify it on a frequent basis. But that is what is nice about the Corvette. The aftermarket support is endless. It's huge. You can do whatever the heck you want to the car. There's somebody out there that makes it, I can promise you that. So it just comes down to, are you looking for a weekend car that you can go out and enjoy, that you can go enjoy some back roads, you can go grab some lunch on a weekend, or are you looking for a car that you can go autocross every now and then, that you can push hard on a track day, that you can daily drive and just constantly modify? Like they're just two totally separate cars, but the Maserati is way better than I ever would have thought it was. And in the state that these cars are in right now, I think I got to go with the Maserati all day.
Yeah, you give me 25 grand and I'm picking the black, beautiful Italian lover in today's video, the Maserati GranTurismo. Comment down below what your choice is, if you've owned either one of these cars, or which one you're going after. We look forward to seeing you next time.